these classes we're cooking along, but today is going to be all about the info. So I hope you have your pens and your pencils ready. They have tons of stuff to share with you all. If you have any questions, we'll be taking those in the chat box. We also have our reactions button here too. So if Zoom isn't already your second, third, or fourth language, a quick little review here. If you hover your mouse over your screen, you'll find your toolbar is going to pop up. You're going to find the chat box. Like I said, go ahead and submit any questions that you have there. Myself and the Pittsburgh Vegan Society team will make sure we get all your questions. And then we have our reactions button as well. So if you don't have a full-blown comment, you can go ahead and let us know what you think of something. Send us a thumbs up, send us a smiley face, a celebration. We'd love to know where you're at on your vegan journey, if this is new to you, if you're coming back for more. So blow up the chat box. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what questions you have, and we'll make sure you're all set. I'm going to have my colleague Jess, also from Phipps, say hi here quickly. We're going to both be monitoring the chat box throughout the class. Then we're going to turn it over to Pittsburgh Vegan Society and get started. Jess?
Hi everyone, I'm Jess. It's so nice to see you all here. I am the Senior Internal Events Manager for Phipps. I'm currently helping Tess out in our kitchen, and happy to be here for our discussion today.
Great. Ellie, I'm going to pass it over to you then.
Hi, thanks everyone. It's great to see you. I'm Ellie from the Pittsburgh Vegan Society. I'm one of the co-organizers, and we're so excited to be here today. So I will tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the co-founder and co-organizer of the Pittsburgh Vegan Society, along with Sean and Chris. I'm also the founder and CEO of Behavior, which is a Pittsburgh-based digital wellness company that uses behavioral health technology and wearables for relapse and overdose prevention. And I have been vegan for 14 years, and I became a vegetarian first when I was a kid. I love food and travel and dogs, and today I'll be talking about egg and dairy replacers and nutrition and meal planning. One thing that is so crucial when you're looking to either transition to a plant-based diet or to incorporate more plant-based foods is to really think about what your goals are. So it's becoming more and more common now to become vegan or plant-based. And the difference between the two is they're often interchangeable. So vegan can be considered, in addition to a diet, could be considered a lifestyle and kind of a moral framework. And then plant-based is referring to just the diet element of that. And as a lot of us know, incorporating more plant foods into our diets is really the healthiest way to go. So, you know, Beyonce is vegan, and more and more celebrities, and there's a lot more research coming out. There was a really interesting report from the World Health Organization about the benefits of a plant-based diet for people, animals, and the planet. And that's what we do with the Pittsburgh Vegan Society, is help provide education and outreach to help folks who are vegan or interested in veganism to connect and get resources and such. So one thing that you can do easily in your own life is to become more plant-based to help create change in the world, and that's a beautiful thing. More of us are home now, and spending more time at home, going out less, and so I know a lot of folks have really been starting to delve into cooking and baking, and that's really fun and exciting, and something that can bring you joy, or if you're living with anyone, bring them joy. So one thing that is really crucial when you're transitioning to plant-based or incorporating more plant-based options is to make sure that you're planning for pantry essentials. So there are a lot of elements that we all grew up using and we're used to using, like dairy and eggs, and for cooking and baking, and meats. And so one of those basics there is to first know that you can really cook and bake anything that is traditionally not vegan, to make it vegan. And this is something a lot of people don't know. And I'm always surprised by that because I know that, but I can't tell you how often I hear that. So I want to fully let you know that anything that you love, you do not need to worry. There is a way to replace that, even from, even things like bacon and souffles and quiches, all those beautiful flavors and textures can be made with plants, which is really exciting. It's really, you're really using, it's a science. You're using flavors and textures to create the essence of those foods. Something that was really interesting that I learned about a bit ago was about how with chicken, a lot of people, for example, cook chicken with like rosemary and other spices. And um, when folks were using replacements, they were like, how do I replace this? And it turns out it was just the spices that was associated with that. And something that's interesting, and Layla's actually going to go into more of the seasoning, sauces, faux meats, and I'm going to focus more on the eggs and dairy replacements. So let's go into eggs first. So No Meat Athlete is one of the fun sites I like using. I'm really interested in nutrition and such, so they're one of the sites I like to use to get information. And if you're interested in like athletics and nutrition and such, I recommend that. There are a lot of great resources online as well, but I've definitely found that talking with people makes it a lot easier. It can be kind of intimidating with all the information. So I encourage you to um, talk with someone you know that is vegan, especially if they have a little more experience and have experience with cooking, baking, things like that, so that they can give you their tips and tricks. And there's always new things to discover. But yeah, having a conversation with someone is really kind of the best way to go. So you can have that relationship and give them a ring if you're baking. You're like, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Um, so one of my favorite egg replacers for baking is flaxseed, because it's healthy. And I don't usually like the taste of flax. So what I don't usually like to use the whole seeds too often. I know you can, buy oatmeal that has flax seeds in them, but the body doesn't actually process those too well because you're usually not chewing them. So all the nice nutrition inside doesn't get out as easily. So what you do with these flax seeds, when you're making an egg substitute, is that you actually either grind them up in a blender or you purchase the ground flaxseed meal. And make sure that you have a fresh one and keep it in the freezer. A lot of people leave it out and it can get rancid, just like any nuts and things. So once you open that up, store it in a nice thick freezer bag and keep it in the freezer. And I like to keep a little scoop in there. That's a teaspoon or tablespoon scoop inside of there. But either way, it's fine. And those can also be good in smoothies and things as well. So with the flaxseed, as an egg replacer, it's so easy. It's really interesting with flax and chia. It actually creates this gelatinous texture that's like eggs have. So what you need to do to activate it is you actually put warm water or hot water in with the flaxseed. Sometimes when I first started, I had forgotten and just used room temperature water, which actually does work. It just takes a little longer. So if you're trying to activate it more quickly, use warm or hot water and just let it sit. And yeah, you can do so. You mix the three. It's a 3 or 4 to 1. I've also seen 2 to 1 in terms of tablespoon flaxseed to water. Um, and you can actually vary that if you want. If you're making a recipe that is already plentiful with liquids, you can just use 2 tablespoons of water. Or if it's one where you could use more and you're probably going to end up throwing in a little more liquid, then you can use 4. 3 is usually a good balance, but I've definitely had recipes where 2 or 4 were better. Um, And interestingly, so it says to puree in the blender. That's only if you don't have flax meal. So I definitely recommend just purchasing the flax meal and using that. But sometimes if you get things in bulk, you can get good prices on, like whole flax seeds, for example. So it depends how often you use it, what you're looking for. And then interestingly, the flavor of flax meal, you cannot taste it. Like I said, I do not like the taste of flax, but you cannot taste it, which is awesome. You can bake it into anything. And as long as it's nicely finely ground, yeah, you can't even tell. Chia seeds are very similar in the kind of egg that they create, or the egg substitute, where it creates that gelatinous texture. Chias are also super healthy, and so that's also another great option. I found that with the chia seeds, you can still sometimes you can't really taste them, or at least I can't, but you can still see them. I find that I don't have as many recipes where I can use them where I don't necessarily want it to like disrupt the look of it, but if you don't mind having a little tiny crunch, like almost like a poppy seed, or if you have something thick enough where you won't even be able to tell, like a sweet bread or something, where having the little chias won't really impact much. They also kind of start blending in once they sit in the water. They start they almost like the harder part almost disappears. So those are also a great option and they're very healthy, especially if you don't necessarily have a lot of ways to incorporate them into your diet, which is not uncommon. Smoothies are a good way to do that. If you're baking sweetbreads or really a lot of other sweet things as well, you can use any fruit purees. So in addition to banana, which is a common one that's great to use, you can also use applesauce. You can use pumpkin puree, and I've used other fruit purees as well. So if I'm making a seasonal dish, I like to use things like pumpkin puree, for example, which adds like a nice holiday flavor. And it's really just that it's kind of like a thicker consistency that blends well with other things. So in terms of fruit purees, that's really a good way to go. Interestingly, with applesauce, you can also use that as an oil replacement. I do that commonly as well. I like to replace, you might need to play around or do a little research, but I found that for a lot of recipes that also call for oil, you can usually replace half of it with applesauce. And you can ask my mom why. I'm not fully sure why. She taught me that, and she's been doing that for years, and it just works. So I try to minimize oils in my diet. That's kind of usually part of a healthier diet. You want to try to minimize oils, and so that's a great way to do that. Um, and again, peanut butter is another option. Soy protein powder, cornstarch, chickpea flour, tofu, baking powder, arrowroot powder. These are all things that you can get really cheaply and really easily, and they're all either nutritious or they're innocuous, like arrowroot and cornstarch that doesn't, it's almost baking powder. They're almost just like kind of an innocuous element. If you're trying to add in nutrition, I would go with, flaxseed, chia seed, fruit purees, peanut butter, chickpea flour, tofu. So depending on your recipe, you might need to add in different things, or depending on what your nutritional goals are as well. And I don't use soy protein powder too often, but when I've been in a pinch and I've needed to either have a dairy or egg replacer, I've used protein powder, or like a meal powder, which is, I'd say, it's not like the ideal thing to do, but yeah, I've been in a pinch or I've been traveling and I wanted to add a little like creaminess of into something, or a little thickness, and it's an easy way to go if you have that laying around and you don't have the other things. So check on your recipes. You can use either of those. Another egg substitution that's not listed in here, we have all these amazing egg replacers now that are created specifically for that. So there's like neat egg and all these other things that you can use more easily for things like quiches and scrambles and things like that. And they taste so much like egg, it makes me even slightly uncomfortable. I was never a huge fan of egg, but yeah, they are just incredible. Some of them come in a liquid form that you kind of like squeeze onto a pan if you're going to make like a scramble or anything like that with the egg. And they also come in a powdered form. When you are going to purchase a full egg replacement, just make sure you know what kind you're purchasing. Some of them, like Bob's Red Mill, it has like a powdered version that's not as much like a to mimic the flavor and texture of egg, and it's more like a blend-in thing. But then there's other ones that are like the Neat Egg has one that's like a full on trying to mimic egg, and it has the black salt in it, which creates kind of that egg flavor, things like that. So depending on what your goals are, what you're trying to make, if I'm trying to bring a dish somewhere and I want it something to taste really a lot like egg, I might purchase an egg replacer, or if I'm short on time, that really mimics that egg flavor. But in terms of baking, these are all great options as well. But yeah, there are so many replacements now. I'm always surprised when I go to the store. There's always a new one there. And yeah, test them out. It's fun to play around with these. But yeah, test those out and see. One other thing I want to mention is it's kind of a classic dish is the with the tofu. You can make like a tofu scramble. That's a classic dish that a lot of people think of when they think of like a vegan egg-like dish. And tofu is a really great way to make an egg replacement as well, because the texture is kind of eggy. Tofu is basically a food that it's created from soybeans, and it takes on it almost any kind of flavor and texture you want if you cook it the right way. So it's really this beautiful food that's nutritious, and it can take on any flavor and textures that you'd like. So for scrambles, I like to get at the East End Food Co-op, they have this box of like a scramble like seasoning, and you mix it in with tofu, and it kind of creates that nice coating. And then you can just throw in vegetables and things that you like. And so I like to do my scrambles that way, since it's kind of what I've always done in it. It's just I know it tastes good. With dairy replacers, there are so many dairy replacers. Again, there are just more and more. Every time I go to the store, I see more of them. And depending on your nutritional goals or your needs, do you have allergies? Do you have sensitivities? Are you trying to avoid sugar? There are so many options. My two favorite dairy replacements are just the classic organic soy milk. It's super cheap. You can get it at almost any store. I usually buy the non-refrigerated version, and I just keep them in my pantry. I uh, I like that they have the soy milk has a lot of protein. So if I'm in a rush for breakfast or something, I can fill myself up with the soy milk. I can have a nice glass, throw it in my coffee, and I can get a little filled up until I have time to get a meal or something. So soy milk is definitely one of my favorites, and I like to get the shelf stable one. You can just buy a bunch of them. You can find them even on sale, and yeah, they're so cheap. They're tasty. It's creamy and nutritious. Soy is great for your body. And for anyone who has allergies, I know a lot of folks have food allergies. You have a lot of different options there. If you can't eat nuts, if you can't eat soy or any of those other things, there are options at almost every store, even just, Giant Eagles, Shop and Save. Walmart. Literally, it's not just at specialty stores anymore. You can get these things everywhere. My second favorite milk is the it's like Good Karma flax milk with protein. That one's at fewer stores, but yeah, I just love that one. It uh it has, I'm trying to, you know, always add a nutrition, and it has the flax in it, which is nice for those like those omega-3s. And I get the one that's the flax milk with protein. You definitely have to shake this one up because it separates. It has, you know, the added nutrition stuff in it, and it has the added protein, which I also like I said, to fill myself up. And so I recommend those two if you're looking to kind of add in nutrition and also have the ease of with like the soy milk to have like things shelf stable, so you can really have those as a backup in your pantry, and they last for so long, so you don't even have to worry about it. You can keep like the shelf stable soy milks in there. Flax milk is one that is refrigerated, but again, it lasts for so long. I think like a couple months or something. So I usually pick up 2 or 3 and then have the soy milks as well. Oat milk is a really easy one to make, and it's super nutritious. A lot of my friends who make, they like to make their own creamy drinks. They like to make oat milk. You can get a nut milk bag, which is basically like this. It's basically like a uh, cloth that has really fine holes in it so that you can filter out the oats, and you can do that with almonds. My brother likes to make fresh almond milk. It's delicious. It's like so fresh and tasty. But you can do that with any of those. You can make your own. It's a lot easier than you would expect. But yeah, oat milk is a classic one that's very easy, and of course you can get big bags of oats very cheaply. So I definitely recommend that one if you're trying to delve into kind of making your own, or you're really trying to know every ingredient that's in there, where everything comes from. That makes it a little easier. And the uh, things like coconut milk, those are also good for baking like Thai foods, Indian foods, curries. So I love coconut milk. You can also use coconut cream. Um, and to add even more creaminess. And those, again, you can get them cheaply. I like the ones at the coconut milk and coconut cream at Trader Joe's. Super cheap, tasty, um, and yeah. There's a lot of these blends as well. So when you go to the store, you can see there's like there are blends that have added protein. It's usually pea protein or soy protein, and then a lot of nut blends as well. So just taste what you like. Don't judge based on one. You might try one, maybe not like it, but there are so many others. There are also different brands. You might like one brand and not another. And so yeah, just keep your mind open, try what you like. And for different recipes as well, I always get unsweetened milks. Some people like the sweetened just because, like, if you get like dark chocolate almond milk, it's delicious. So you would want a sweet one, but I always get unsweetened. I'm trying to minimize my sugar intake, and I recommend that as well. If you are comfortable with that, I recommend going for unsweetened and organic whenever you can. Um, so meal planning, we are running low on time now, so I'm going to delve into this a little bit. Um, I really recommend planning your meals in advance for what your personal goals are with health or fitness or nutrition, what your or whether you're just trying to incorporate more plant foods into your diet. Planning ahead is really the best way to go. And I would make a list, whether you're writing it on like a Google Doc or just on a piece of paper. What are your goals for your body, for your family, for the people you live with, and then kind of either work individually or work with folks in your household maybe to figure that all out. So if you're saying, okay, I want to go plant-based, I want to do you know, reduce my oils, reduce my sugars, or just overall eat more whole foods, plant-based. Or if you're just trying to like do all the replacements. If you're like, okay, this is what I usually eat, I want to make vegan versions of all this because that's my biggest chance for success. That's what I did when I first started out, and I still do that a lot. I love like vegan mac and cheese, and I love comfort food. So I try to stay more as much with plant foods as I can, but I eat a lot of treats, and you can totally be healthy eating treats. I made myself vegan pizza the other day. I got vegan Daiya cheese, and it was delicious. So yeah, I eat lots of treats. You can totally be healthy and eat treats. So no worries. So if you're going the replacement route, Layla next we'll delve into some of the things that will help you with that. But yeah, write everything down. Say, what are the family recipes? What do I eat every day? Do I usually eat like a grilled cheese sandwich? You can make a vegan grilled cheese sandwich. There's vegan butters at every store. You can also just use extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. It's really possible to do everything. And so don't be, it might be a little hard at first. You might get a little frustrated, but you can totally do this. It's actually really fun. And a lot of people say that once they become plant-based, they feel like they can taste more flavors, and it takes usually a few weeks for your body to adjust. Some people's bodies take a little longer. If you're going from having very little fiber, which is very common, most Americans don't get enough fiber. So if you're going from very little fiber to a whole bunch, you might feel a little uncomfortable. So I would definitely go start off with a lower amount and go from there. So yeah, and a lot of like quote unquote ethnic cuisines have vegan options already. So if you're trying to say to get inspired about what you want to do, where you want to go, you know, you can check those places out as well. But online stuff is your resource, and getting connected to other people who you're friendly with who are vegan or plant-based are a great resource as well. And feel free to reach out to us. We are at pavegan.org. And we can connect you to different resources. There are, you can get mentors. There's free mentors who connect with you. And yeah, so utilize those resources, and feel free to post your questions in there as well. And it was so wonderful to talk with all of you, and I look forward to your questions as well. Take care, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellie. And I just want to jump in here too. So for Phipps, we do a ton of cooking classes, and right now we're doing a lot of those online. Typically, I am doing the grocery shopping for our classes, and I still am for those who are doing the grocery pickup option. More about that later. But all these ingredients that you're not familiar with and you've not maybe heard of, that's what I have to shop for all the time. So I encourage everybody at your stores, like Ellie said, some of this stuff is so much more accessible these days. So if maybe it's something you haven't seen before, go ahead and ask your grocery store clerk. That's what they're there for. And they've always been super helpful with me, particularly at Giant Eagle, but that's just because it's one of our closer ones. So like Ellie said, these changes, you can make them, as few, as small at a time as you can, make your goals attainable. But don't forget to check out those online resources. We have a ton of great stuff in the chat box, and also just asking your grocery store clerks. They're happy to help. So, and I think that takes us to Layla.
Hey, how are you guys doing? I am Layla. I am a musician and part-time aspiring vegan chef. It's kind of like, just something that I do for fun. Today I'm going to be talking about some meat substitutes and just different little spices and things that have helped me along my journey. It's been 4 years for me being vegan now. I went vegetarian as a kid for a little while, but then my dad made me switch back. So now on my own and, just doing that. But today I wanted to make a little quick recipe. This is actually a take on Tabitha Brown's cheese fake hoagie, because like the thing for me that helped me a lot with transitioning was finding a lot of foods that I had already knew that I loved and then just making a vegan version of them. I feel like that's really one of the biggest important things for me, like in my journey, just making sure that I'm, making foods that I still enjoy and then just making them vegan. So today we have our main the thing that I made was some pecan meat. This is something that is like super easy for tacos, and like right now I'm kind of making like a steak type of thing. But basically it's just you soak pecans for about 20 minutes, blend them. This one has some onions and some fresh garlic blended in. And then wanted to talk about some of my favorite spices. This right here, this chili seasoning mix, I get most of my ingredients from Aldi's, because another one of my like main goals in this is to show people that veganism isn't just for people that have money. It's not just for the whole food shopper that can afford, you know, that on a regular. So I try to shop at like, you know, stores that I can find affordable ingredients. But this right here is one of my favorites because, you know, you got your paprika, your chili powder, all of that stuff, all of that goodness already in there. So you don't have to like worry about making your own blend all the time. I also have some Wicked Sweet Bourbon. I think I got this at Shop and Save. This is also another favorite. Some Laurie seasoning, so you can't go without this. This is one of my faves. And then we got some garlic salt from Fresh in Time. This is another grocery store that has like a lot of good whole foods. So today we're going to be making the base with a portobello mushroom. This is a black portobello mushroom, kind of like the head of it. I already have some prepared, so I'm not going to be doing everything live, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys about the thickness that I cook these at. I cook them at like, or cut them out that thick. And then I have some that I marinated overnight. This looks kind of messy, but I marinated them overnight just in some barbecue sauce. And usually I use liquid smoke, but I don't have any. And then some seasoning. So we're just going to place these on the pan. And I'm going to be able to show you guys what we're working with over here. Now, I feel like meat substitutes can be a hard thing to kind of navigate, because I'm not really a vegan that eats a whole lot of meat substitutes. But sometimes it's just good for like if you want a quick meal or something that replaces things. So there's that. I was gonna say some of the ones that are my favorites personally, I really just got into banana blossoms. Like they make a good fried fish substitute, a good chicken substitute. And if you go to my chef page, Vegan Chef Lay, I can put it in the chat later and you can kind of see some of the stuff that I make with those. I really love oyster mushrooms. Those are one of my favorites. And Morningstar has like those vegan, like the chicken patties and stuff. They actually were vegetarian for a long time, but they just went vegan, I think maybe a year ago or so. So those are really good. And back here in this pan, everything else that we have going on, we just have some peppers. These are just the fresh ones. I'm going to kind of do like a pan over here so you guys can see. And then we also got some white mushrooms, which is going to kind of go on top. I've also made like my own kind of sauce, because, you know, it's kind of hard to find like, you know, the right ranch kind of sauce. So I kind of made my own thing with some hummus. And yeah, and this is also one of my favorite cheeses. This is a mozzarella. I don't know how I forgot. Talking makes me nervous. Forgive me. But yeah, we're just going to throw that on there. Let me show you guys what we're working with in this pan. If this is a good angle, I'm not sure, but we're basically just making, this is the pecan meat over here, what it kind of comes out to be. And this is our, you know, peppers and onions and all of that. One good thing about peppers is they're really good for vitamin C and your immune system, which is really important in times right now. So I try to get a lot of those in my diet. And yeah, we also got, we're going to be putting this steak sandwich on some French bread. I got this from Giant Eagle yesterday. It's one of my favorites. But yeah, I just feel like, just as far as being in the vegan community, I feel like it's really important to, like, whenever you're inviting people in, or, you know, people are curious and stuff, that we try our best to meet them with, like, knowledge without judgment. Because I know sometimes it's hard to really, you know, see the way some people live and the way some things have to suffer because of the way some people live. But I feel like whenever we come to them with like just attacks or you know, making them feel like unwelcome, it doesn't really convert them. So I feel like the best way that I found in these years is cooking for people. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys today. And yeah, so we're going to cut this. I have a pan in this oven. I'm just going to toast this for a couple of minutes. We're also going to have one of my favorite, I'm sure, you know, you vegans also love potatoes. I got some fries right here. One of the things I've been trying to do, kind of like Ellie said, trying to like limit my oil intake. So I got some grapeseed oil, and instead of like frying them in the pan, I'll just put like a couple tablespoons of oil in and then put them in the oven. I already have some in the oven for this video's sake though. So yeah, we're just gonna get this together. If you guys have any questions or anything, also I'm trying to like read the comments as I go.
No specific questions yet, Layla, but this looks great. I love the idea of the pecan meat. That's something I've not seen before. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is one of the substitutes that I was actually very shocked by because I had seen Tabitha Brown posted a recipe. First, the one that I saw was for her chili, and I saw her like the way that she like soaked pecans and grinded them up. And it's a way that like sometimes fake meats are scary because you don't really know like all of the ingredients, and it's just like, whoa, this tastes really, really similar. What is this? So like with the pecan meat, it's something cool that kind of transitions even like the vegan that's just purely plant-based and doesn't really dive into like any meat substitutes. They can kind of say, okay, it's just pecans and it's just onions and spices, so it's not as scary, but it really can give like a ground meat texture. So it's one of my favorites. I use it in my veggie burger recipe, which like the textures, it's really, really similar. It's kind of scary, but yeah, it's just one of the ones that I like because it's not like the store-bought thing of everything, of all these ingredients that I don't know what they actually are. So I try to use this whenever I do make some stuff. But yeah, I think our roll is...
What's in that pancake? What's in that?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What's in that burger or whatever, that meat you were saying? What's actually...
I just use, you could either use rice or quinoa, sweet potatoes, and then the pecan meat. And then it's kind of like a ratio of that and spices, and it comes out really good. It makes a good like Salisbury steak. Like it doesn't, like it's not flimsy. It makes it like really firm.
Is that pecan meat, is that like come in a pouch or you just crush up pecans?
No, I just actually bought some pecan halves and then I soaked them for about 20, 30 minutes and then you put them in the blender and then they give you like this meaty texture fish.
Is a pecan a mushroom?
No, just like the like regular pecans.
Nuts.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Chloe and Mary kind of remind the same thing, right? So I've also never heard of the pecan meat. So we all learned something new today. And just really being able to transform those ingredients makes all the difference. I'm sure we would all love a taste of Layla's dish here, but you know, until we make it for ourselves at home, we probably aren't going to have that chance. So definitely stuff. Layla, I love this recipe. Whenever even if I don't have the recipe, go ahead. Google is your best friend.
Yes.
And meat and see what you get. And then you have to come back and let us all know how it went. But great job, Layla. No other particular questions, but that was great.
Thank you. I was also going to say that I can post the recipe that I found that I made it with in the chat afterwards or something like, you know, so you guys have
I'm here shaking my head and I see several other people nodding along as well. I think we would love that.
Awesome. Okay, for sure.
I would like if you had a chance to type in those spices and where you bought them.
Definitely.
That would be good because I'm like an amateur. Thank you.
Definitely, for sure.
And NY wants just a taste test through the screen. I don't know if you have the abilities to make that happen.
Maybe they're going to add
you share with us. Let us know how that works.
Great. Yeah, that would honestly be amazing. If I could, I would definitely would. But yeah, the best I can do today is kind of show you guys what we got working on here. We're waiting for our cheese to melt. This is actually a great cheese if you guys like Alfredo too. This melts like nobody's business. So this is at Aldi's too. So that's one of my faves. Let's see what we got cooking.
And we just had a great question from Elizabeth. Can the recipe be provided as a Word document and emailed after? Which I'm, Layla, if you want to send me that recipe, I'm happy to put it in a Word doc, send it out to you all. I'll just go ahead and send it out to everyone registered. That way I don't miss anybody. But if you would like it to go to a different email than the email you registered with, then just send me a message and I'll make sure we can get it at that email. But great question, Elizabeth. I'll definitely be sending that along. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I was also going to say, I typically post not necessarily like a recipe list, but always the ingredients on my chef page. It's at Vegan Chef Lay on Instagram. It's It's like Vegan Chef, and then I believe it's LEI. So like if you guys want to check out some of the other stuff that I make, if you message me, I'm always happy to send out like, you know, recipe lists, but this one I'm definitely going to type out for you guys. And our cheese is getting cheesy. So I'm going to show you guys what we're working with. This is what we're waiting for. But yeah, I feel like if you are like new to veganism and transitioning, to me the best thing is just finding like your absolute favorite food and finding someone online. To me, videos, I'm a video learner. So like finding someone who's making it online, or even if you do read recipes and that's how you learn, find someone who makes a good version or great version of your favorite food. It makes the process a lot easier because the cravings stop because you found something that fills it, that's actually, you know, plant-based. So that's one of my heavy recommendations. But yeah, we're gonna begin plating for you guys right now. I'm gonna move my camera so I can show you how this cheese is cheesing. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm getting like great lighting right now, but this is what we kind of got going on right now. These are the mushrooms, the onions, and now our cheese is fully melty. And that's the great thing about the the brand is Earthgrown from Aldi's. It is an inexpensive cheese that actually melts like cheese, because sometimes you can find some ones that aren't so hot. And yeah, this is what we got going on. Some people like to, like, you know, like if you're making a steak hoagie, to re-toast it in the oven, but I'm just gonna do it this way for, you know, the sake of all of you lovely people's time. This is looking good. And I'm also like a person that really likes to make a lot of one pan dishes. I'm lazy and I really try to minimize dishes. So if you're a person that likes to do that, I don't know, leave me a comment, let me know, because that is how I operate most of the time. So right now we got, here's the hoagie plated right there. We're gonna add some lettuce and tomato. You could add, you know, whatever toppings you like. I like lettuce and tomato. I chopped myself some olives to go on top. Probably should have put the lettuce first. And this is like a meal that I like because it doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of, you know, prep. It's pretty simple. And it replaced my cravings for a lot of things that I do not eat anymore. Okay, I'm almost done here, guys. And like I said, this is like a sauce that I made almost kind of like to replace a French dressing. It's really just like hummus, almond milk, Italian dressing, and, you know, the same seasonings. I really don't use a whole lot of different seasonings. Just gonna put that on there.
And that's exactly right, Layla. I think that really sums up today's whole lesson. You know, just having those staples, spices and staple things on hand, having all that in your pantry ready to go makes it so accessible.
Right, that's so true. Then you'd be surprised like what works with what. Like you could have like just a taco seasoning that works great with burgers and things like that. So you're so right with that. Can't forget the fries. Okay. Okay, and we are done. This is our finished cheese fake hoagie. Like I said, I apologize for the lighting. My kitchen is not really too great with natural lighting. But that is our finished meal. Super simple to make, not a whole lot of ingredients. And yeah, I'm happy I could share that with you guys today. That's pretty much all I had. I wanted to thank the people at Phipps and then the people at the Pittsburgh Vegan Society for letting me talk today. So thank you, Ellie, Sean, and Chris. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I'm gonna still be answering questions in the chat and then post. So thank you for your time.
And thank you, Layla. That was such a great recipe. Everyone in the chat box is mad at you. Everyone's a little hungry now, but they'll forgive you eventually. Once we send that recipe out, they'll forgive you.
Definitely.
Just a quick word from Phipps. We do have classes all the time, and they look a little bit more like Layla's segment here, where we're cooking along, we're sharing recipes, we're talking about substitutions. We work with a bunch of different chefs at Phipps, and they all have different specialties. So I'm going to go send that link in the chat box. We'd love to see you guys in classes. Some are demonstrations, some are cook along, some are long, some are short. But we'd like to think we have a little something for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and send that link as well as my email in the chat box if anybody has Phipps related questions or Phipps class questions for us. But I'll turn it back over to Ellie's team. And if you guys want to wrap up and do some closing notes too.